Okay. Hello, everyone, once again. Thanks for joining us into this AMA this week. If you're probably listening to this is because you're just watching from YouTube as well. So thanks for tuning in. We don't have any specific topic for this week, but we want to talk a little bit about the potential, um, what's the word for it? Like, Adam, help me, please. The potential,
Now proposals.
yeah, proposals that the BrightID might just be getting soon. So yeah, let's start with that. Like, and from them, please share with us all your questions so the team can answer it. Thanks for joining, guys. So yeah, Adam, are you going to speak about the proposals? You're muted, by the way. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, so there's been some interesting proposals. I'm trying to see who's here to see well, some interesting ideas, let's put it that way, because right now there's no proposals up for votes. But there have been some interesting ideas. I heard a quick report from Shaheen, who did a Chinese translation of the Git book. There'll be a vote for that one pretty soon. So that's nice. Chinese is by far our biggest segment of users. Like if you look at our Discord, and the interesting thing is like Chinese people, I think they have an easier time with Telegram than Discord. But even in our Discord, they're by far the biggest segment of any country. So they outweigh all the English speaking countries put together. So so that's nice that we actually will have our documentation in Chinese. That should clear up some confusions, I think, that users may have about BrightID. So I'm really looking forward to that. And additionally, there's a Spanish one, but that was actually a proposal that got passed. So that'll be good to have Spanish. It's another big segment of users. Many Spanish-speaking countries, our users come from many Spanish-speaking countries. And then there's a bunch of proposals, or a bunch of ideas, I should say, that have to do with rewards of various kinds for doing something with your Bright tokens. We want it to be possible for there to be liquidity so that when some of these other proposals pass, if they require if they require some Bright and people want to use that Bright to pay their bills, then they need to be able to cash it out. So we've been providing liquidity rewards to incentivize people to come and put liquidity up. And so we need some proposals, and there's been some ideas about other types of rewards that we can do. So if we just let things go and do nothing, with the Bright ETH and the Bright Honey farms are going to run out of rewards. That doesn't mean that you won't get anything, but your rewards will be much less if you're not getting the extra Bright from the rewards farms. So those run out on the 16th. So in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, if we do nothing, it's not going to be the end of the world if there's a gap. But there was a gap before the last time our vote farming reward ran out. I really like vote farming. Like before we even talk about the other farming rewards, I really like the vote farming. It doesn't show up on the farming page, but if you go into Gardens DAO and you go through the steps to initiate yourself as a Gardens DAO member and get ready to vote on proposals, wrap your Bright into GBright, you immediately start earning some really good rewards. What did we think that the APR was approximately, Philip, on that right now?
Our guest the other day was about 240%.
Yeah, so it's up there. We thought, okay, this is going to be a smaller reward than the liquidity farming, but right now it's competitive with the liquidity farming. And the nice thing about it, you just need Bright. You don't need to buy some other asset, like you don't need to buy honey or have ETH. You just take the Bright you already have, wrap it, take the steps to become a voting member of the DAO, and you earn more Bright. And the interest is really high right now. So take advantage of that. And that's something that I definitely want to renew. I definitely want to keep that going.
Someone in the chat just suggested it's only 90%. That doesn't make sense. You know, we did the math yesterday on two of us. I encourage anyone else to check out and try doing the math. It also,
that'd be, so one of the things we asked Gardens DAO, the Gardens team for, and they thought it was a good idea, was to show for Gardens DAOs that are doing vote farming, to show the rewards in the Gardens DAO. We also want to show them on the farming page. So it would be nice just to see that. The calculation is not that difficult to compute. So if Devour 66 says 90%, I mean, I didn't actually do the math, so we could recheck our math. Anyways, it is really high though. It's like,
and frankly,
I thought it was 240% when we did the calculation. It seemed right to me. But we can easily recheck that.
In any case, I don't even care what the percent is, because the reason the percent is so high is because not that much Bright has been wrapped. Of all the Bright that exists, a ton of it's not wrapped. So people should wrap more Bright, because it's right. The thing is, it's paying out 50 right now. It's paying out 50,000 per month. I guess we could just do that math, right? It's paying out 50,000 per month. And look how much, and we can see how much total G-Bright exists. That's the rate times 12.
Right. Yeah. So to get pretty close to the answer, you just take 50,000 times it by 12 and divide the number of Bright that has been wrapped, which is easy to check from
Which
Block
I
Scout.
agree is not that does not equate to 240%. Perhaps my previous math was wrong, but I'm not sure what I did wrong.
Okay. Well, I think what you did was you checked, like you looked at how much you had staked and you checked it against like how much you were earning.
Correct.
And you came up with a number. So
that is exactly what I did.
Yep. And you did that for mine too, but I didn't check it myself. And we didn't do the simple, I guess the even simpler calculation of just taking the amounts. So
although, it's possible that somehow it is not, it's not actually accruing at. That doesn't make it. I can't explain it. I want to dig in deeper.
Yeah. So let's see. I mean, how much is in the rewards pool? Staking rewards for, let's see, for that one. Let's see, where is it? Where is that rewards pool? Oh yeah, or how much G-Bright exists? That's another way to look at it. How much has been wrapped? We just need that number. So it says total support is 409,766, but that's not how much has been wrapped. So if we look at, let's see, let's go to, I guess I should share my screen if I'm gonna do this with everybody. So let's go to Block Scout. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, so if we go to Block Scout, here's Bright, yay, number 11, whatever that means. Okay, so if we go over here.
Well, but we don't want Bright, we want G-Bright.
Oh, I know, but Bright is locked up, a bunch of Bright is locked up in the G-Bright. So if we look at the holders, wait a minute, I want the actual token. Let's see, there we go. Maybe this will get it. Okay, so token holders. So we go to, okay. let's see, which one of these is GBright? It's one of these three, or one of these four is GBright. Let's see. I don't think they're labeled on here, but yeah. Oh, this is Merkle distributor. That's not it. So they are kind of late. Some of them are kind of labeled. Okay, so this one is probably it. No, this is also Merkle. Wait, it's not. No, it's not a Merkle distributor. Okay, what's this one? You found it?
Yeah.
Okay, Uni V2. That's also not it. Which one was it?
I think it
472?
must be this one. 735,000.
Oh, it's that one. Okay. Cool.
Which I agree with, as Devour said, roughly 90%.
Okay.
That's distinctly not what I saw in my own accumulation, so I'm confused.
Well, I seem to remember it being much less than for myself doing the farming. So yeah, like I seem to be getting a lot more from farming bright honey than from just farming bright. But if you consider that it's no risk, it's definitely a good thing to do, and definitely something that we want to continue. And we can talk about the amounts that we think it should be, like the amount that their reward should be. We don't know how many more people are going to come in, but we could increase the reward, we could decrease the reward. The last we were talking, I don't know. We've had some small discussions among small groups of Bright DAO members, but no bigger discussion yet. But a few of us thought that maybe keeping it the same was pretty good. But that was also based on that we thought that we were using Phil's calculation, so of 240%. So
definitely acknowledge now is wrong. I will also point out that it will be, assuming that you claim and wrap again, your yield will be higher, right?
mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty cheap to do that on the XDAI chain. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. There's no point in showing this screen anymore.
All right.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, so there's that one, which I definitely think we should do. I don't know if, like, what do we think? Like, for something that's so low risk, because you just basically take the bright you already have, you don't have to pair it with anything. There's no risk of impermanent loss. I think when we were designing the fair drop and we were originally thinking what the percentage should be, I think 90% was even higher than what we were imagining for something that's so low risk. So what do you think? Is that still really a really sweet deal, or should we sweeten it? Is it like way too sweet? What do you guys think?
I really think that it's a little bit high, but yeah, I'm happy because I'm getting it. So, but I don't think it should be higher.
I think the rate right now is high, but I don't think spending 50,000 bright per month on it is too high.
Yeah.
More people should wrap their bright, which will have the effect of decreasing the return. But so far, I think it's super effective because nobody's unwrapping GBright. If you look at the transactions, it's just like it's basically a one-way thing. Great, that's good for the community. I'm happy for people to have more if they're going to be utilizing it in the DAO. So I don't see it as a problem.
Yep, I agree.
Because on the liquidity farming side, if people are taking the rewards and then insta dumping them, that's detrimental for the community.
Yeah. So maybe something that is also interesting that we started to see ideas for are sort of permanent clusters of people. So far we've seen proposals that have to do with kind of one-off tasks, but there was at least one idea so far about like a semi-permanent team that was I think it's been renamed the coordination cluster, but it started out, they said like facilitators team or something, which is basically serves a really useful purpose for a DAO like BrightDAO, because you'll end up with a bunch of different teams, and then you also have BrightID core teams working on stuff, and there may not be a built-in way to keep the communication bandwidth high between those different groups, make sure that interesting developments are communicated to the community and also outside the community, and that other groups know what other groups are working on, so that they don't duplicate work, so that they can share resources. And so that's what this facilitators coordinators team was going to do. And they've already started working and started documenting some of the things that other teams in BrightID are doing. They're the ones that put out the we had a tweet thread about a new feature in our mobile app. So we've kind of been falling behind on not always, like, we don't do a good job of announcing all the cool stuff that we do in BrightID. Like when there's a new version, with new features, we rarely announce it. When there's like cool new partnerships, we don't talk them up as much as we could. When our partners are doing cool things, we don't talk it up as much as we should. And so the coordination team can help with all of that. Like they can help communicate the roadmap, like, cool, we hit this milestone, or what all of the cool stuff that's happening all the time in BrightID that just doesn't make it outside of those teams. That's what the facilitators and the coordination cluster or facilitators is for. So I think that that's a really useful team to have in a DAO, and I'm going to be curious to see what their first proposal for funding looks like. I think it'll be small to begin with, but I hope that team can ramp up and get all the people on that team that they need to do a good job. And I hope that other teams will follow suit. I know that Bitsika, who's here, and I, and also Sergey has joined the team, but we've started to create another one of these clusters called integration, where we try to expand the number of people who are helping apps integrate, because up to this point, it's just been me, and it's too much. I'm behind. I'm falling behind. I'm dropping the ball on some of these integrations because like I'm working really hard on like 3 or 4 of them, but then there's like 4 or 5 more in the queue that I just can't get started on yet, because it's too much for one person to do. So we're trying to ramp up that team. And that's another one where I think you'll see some proposals in the BrightDAO to help fund the integrations team. Now, I will say that it's an interesting like economic flow, because the reason why in the past we don't usually charge. Some people actually offer to pay for integration help, but we're willing to help for free because of sponsorships. If you guys have heard of BrightID sponsorships, when an app does integrate, they will typically buy a bunch of sponsorships, and that's how we get our funding. Those go to BMain though. Those don't go to BrightDAO. So we need to figure out, like, eventually we need to figure out like some relationship between, if we're paying people from BrightDAO to help with the integration, then like some sort of income stream should come into BrightDAO. So either integrators need to be more willing to maybe buy Bright tokens or pay in some other way to the integration team. They need to be able to fund the integration if the work is coming from BrightDAO team members. So anyways, Yeah, Hans asking, any new integrating apps coming up? Yes. So just to list off some of the ones that we're working on, there's the Discord bot is getting some improvements. ClearFund is getting some improvements. Ontology Orange, so we have a like a partnership. We're working with Ontology to build BrightID integration into their new Orange product. I've been talking with Martin from Gnosis about a Bright Circles integrate and Gnosis Safe integration. We have an Aragon integration that's in the works that we heard about last week. And then like some of the ones that have expressed interest, there's some other ones that are kind of interesting. Let me pull it up real quick. Let's see. I guess there's some more that we're probably not ready to announce, but those are ones that we've actually started on. These other ones, we should probably wait until. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say there's a few DAOs that have expressed using BrightID to improve their communities.
Yeah, so I think like a general purpose DAO solution, like a DAO reputation that can be used across multiple different DAO frameworks and multiple different DAOs, that kind of goes with you, where you can kind of say like, hey, cool, like I've been a great DAO user for this DAO, and now I'm coming to this other DAO, and I want my reputation to follow with me. That's something that BrightID can help with. So I would love to have that sort of general solution. Yeah, I mean, we have some other ones that either we've been slow to get started for the reasons I said, or they've kind of lagged behind, like the Snapshot integration. The founder of Snapshot like built a BrightID Snapshot integration and was working with us, and we need to get back on top of that. And then there's a bunch in the queue of like projects that like I think most people have heard of these projects that want to integrate with BrightID. We just need to ramp up our integration team so that we can do those. So yeah, so be aware that you'll be seeing those. Okay, what do you think about Bright Price and grow this community? Will we see any new project integration soon? Yes. Okay. I'm just reading through these questions to see if there's anything interesting.
Bright Price, I'll note, I saw that who.com has listed Bright Beers.
Oh yeah, they did that, but they're not listing subs anymore. So yeah. It's kind of like, okay.
And I'll point out to anyone here that's looking, the trading behavior on the exchanges, in all cases, the exchanges that have listed Bright, the centralized exchanges that have listed Bright, have done it on their own accord. No one, certainly not the entity, has done anything, paid for that, encouraged that. It's completely them doing it. The trading activity is strange, I would say. There's a lot of bot activity. It shows huge volume on those exchanges, but it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I think that HoneySwap and Uniswap v3 are truer reflections of really what's going on with the token. Feel free to use those exchanges, but they're not endorsed in any way. Nobody had anything to do with any of those listings, and the volume seems suspect.
Yeah, so I'll mention some other ones that have expressed interest in integrating with BrightID, just in case these names are familiar to anyone. Let's see, DAO Blockchain Humanity, H for H Fund, THX Anti-Civil, Venerate, Gods Unchained, Pool Together, Crypto D. Let's see, Javitang, Senso App, Zavi, Drupal, Bright Verifier, Mole, Lucon, Creative Tribe, and Wayports. So I think like some of these are definitely ones that I know of, like Pool Together and Gods Unchained. And some of them I think may be like just like brand new projects that no one knows yet. But yeah, definitely some things, like lots of things to look out for, and we need to seriously ramp up our integration. Yep. So yeah, and the other thing besides teams, another team is the education team. So there's been some cool efforts being made. Obviously the Gitbook translations and other things to educate users and increase the content and the ease of ramping up as a new BrightID user. And so that's another cluster that could be permanent, like a semi-permanent cluster. And then let's see, there's also, I don't see Jordan here, but there's a like a trivia proposal that's coming up. So I think, did that one? No, that actually hasn't. He said he was going to do that very soon, like actually make the real proposal. He hasn't made it in the forum yet, has he? Like the actual real proposal? Let's check right now. Okay, so it looks like there is actually a proposal. But there's no vote up yet. So the proposal is up, a whole bunch of like feedback, and yep, this is similar to like the trivia game that they did recently in One Hive, like the Shapeshift Honey sponsored game. It's a cool way to learn. Like it is part of like our education, our desire to educate people is like, I think trivia games can be a fun way to like spread some of the knowledge of how to use BrightID. Also, yep. So I think there's also going to be some proposals for the thing like coming up pretty soon for the things that if you look at the BrightID Gitbook under the Bright token, under Bright distribution, you can see on the bottom there's a bunch of tab. Actually, I can share my screen on this again too. So I'll show you. So these should be coming up pretty soon. These were things that when we created the Bright token, when I say we, there was a like a group of maybe 15 people that decided, hey, we should launch the Bright DAO, launch a Bright token. We did things like decide the initial Bright DAO parameters, decided things like how much Bright should be minted and stuff like that. So anyways, if we go to the Bright Gitbook, and we go to what is Bright, and we look at Bright distribution, you can see that we decided a bunch of things when we were minting, minting the initial supply. Well, first of all, we decided how much would go to the fair drop. And then we decided, well, there's going to be some other stuff that we're kind of like going to pre-approve or pre-allocate, I guess is a better way to put it. We're going to pre-allocate some funds for these different things. Obviously, the farming, we already kicked that off, and this has already been spent, and that's actually most of it. And by the way, this big farming bucket is for subs, and that lasts for 2 years. That's why it's so big, because it's lasting forever. And then we have these other things like bounties, hackathons, stars. So I think we'll start seeing proposals for a bunch of these, like the stars proposal. I actually expected to see that by now, but that one's coming up. This rabbit hole, that's being worked on. We should see that pretty soon. A rabbit hole campaign, that's another way to earn Bright. I would love it if someone, like, I don't think we've identified a team that's going to create this Bright faucet, but this is a cool potential thing. Like, imagine if you've ever used the XDye faucet and you've seen how it's not always functional and stuff like that. this is really nice to have a BrightID powered faucet because you don't have to worry about it being overrun by Sybil accounts. So this, you could get free XDye and free Bright from this faucet on XDye chain. And then, yeah, this is the one we already talked about. We're going to put up another proposal for that. That's been working well. And then we have this other liquidity that we kind of talked about. So expect to see some proposals because the liquidity is ending. The current liquidity, a bunch of it is ending next Tuesday. So we should very soon put up some new proposals. There's already been some ideas shared in the forum, but expect some actual concrete proposals. And again, like this is all of us. So please join the discussion on the forum. Don't think that there's like some leadership team that needs to drive all of this stuff. Like it is all of us. So if you say, hey, I have this awesome idea for how liquidity should work, write up an idea, put it in the forum. It could quickly turn into a vote and we could be using your idea. Or if you have like a really cool initiative that needs some funds to be able to do it, you can put that up on the BrightDAO. That's what it's for.
Yeah,
So
I just want to echo that point that this DAO truly is, and the treasury is owned by the community. Nobody has more say than anyone else. That's particularly true in the forum. If you make a compelling case for something, it'll get supported. So far, we haven't had a lot of proposals and a lot of things passed, but everything that has been proposed that made sense was quickly passed by the DAO. So you don't need to have it. If you're trying to get the funds sent directly to you and you don't have any credibility in the DAO, I'd encourage you to reach out to others that do and get them sort of to help with the credibility. But if the fund isn't even going to you anyway, then that's not a problem. But we very much welcome the community and any members here anywhere to say how they think this should be. Nobody here knows how this is supposed to work. We're all making it up as we go. There's a whole lot of us that believe deeply in BrightID and the Bright community and what this can be, but we got to make it that. So please bring your skills, bring your talents, bring your ideas.
yeah, so I think the three things that have worked so far when you're making a proposal idea is either you already have some background, like you've already worked on stuff for BrightID and gotten paid for it. It's really easy to make a proposal if you're in that camp, but there's not that many people in that camp. Then the other one is, like Philip said, find someone who has done that and just get them to be a reviewer. So they agree to review your work, and then you can put up a proposal, and they could, as the reviewer, they could set up some sort of arrangement where they get your tokens and either hold them in escrow or, like until they do the review or something like that. They just include a reviewer in the process. And then the third way is to do the work first. There is some risk there that if you do the work and then the community is like, well, we didn't actually want that, we don't think that's important, you might not get paid for your work. But you do something like you can test the waters, like you can put up an idea. If it seems like everyone's loving it, then you can go ahead and get started on it, and afterwards be like, hey, this is how much it costs to get it done, and put up your proposal that way. And we're about to see some like that, like the Chinese Gitbook translation was done that way. So yeah, I mean, use the BrightDAO, get paid for your work, and yeah, come up with your own initiatives of what you think BrightID needs. And join one of the teams. Like if you see like a proposal for one of these teams saying like, we need this type of person to do this type of work, and we want to form like a permanent team in the BrightDAO to do this because we think it's important for the future of BrightID, and you think that you have the qualifications, then by all means, like join that team. Let's see. Okay, I just want to, okay. Okay, let's see. A whole thread called liquidity distributions on XDAI, but I don't understand what that is all about. Yeah, I'm in the same way, Han. There's like some proposals where I'm like, this is over my head. Like I need to take the time to do the research to even have an opinion on this. So I'll admit there's that, and that is a challenge for DAOs, is like managing the attention and the research that it takes to support some proposals. Like that's, yeah. So that's a real issue with DAOs. And then Goodman says, I want to create a proposal before that we can discuss anywhere. Yeah, so there's an ideas tag in like there's an ideas category in the forum.brightid.org. So if you just add the ideas category, you can put like a totally half-baked idea, like something that's just like a pure idea that's like, hey, I mean, some people have done this. They're like, hey, I think it'd be cool to make a social network that uses BrightID. And then, people will ask you questions about it and be like, okay, well, let's try to figure out how we can turn this into something that we could actually work on. And so don't be afraid, like, don't be shy. If you're, no matter how crazy you think your idea is, or how, even if it's a really early idea, just go ahead and put it out there and don't worry too much about it. And I would say that, yeah, so the only proposals that we haven't seen been able, like get funding, are the ones that need some more time. Like there's obviously some ideas that just need some more time, some, to figure out and to work out the details of what's actually going to be done. And because when you make a proposal for BrightDAO, you can't just put up a vague idea that's like, hey, I think we'll like eventually, like, we need $1 million to create like the next Twitter using BrightID, or like, that's not going to work. You need to like say, okay, this is exactly the work that we're going to do, and this is the time frame, this is who's going to work on it. So but the forum is a good place to start to like work on those ideas and get them ready. So maybe since Han asked this, like in the forum, there's a whole thread about liquidity distributions on XDAI that I don't understand what that is all about. Maybe we can talk about this, because I think that like the community call in the AMA, as we've seen, can be a place to discuss some of the proposals. So let's talk about this one. Like let's demystify some of this stuff that's in this proposal. Let me share my screen again. So let's go back to the forum and read some of these ideas. Okay, so this is, yeah, it's the highest one up there. So let's read it. Okay, so it begins by talking about stake rewards from the XDAI community. So the cool thing about this is, and we've already done this part where we went to XDAI and made a proposal with them and said, we would like to provide liquidity for stake on XDAI, and you agree to give us 1-to-1 matching. And we kind of got pre-approval for like up to $200,000 worth of matching. So what that means is, let's say BrightDAO puts up, we wouldn't do this all at once, it's way too much, but let's say that BrightDAO put up $200,000 worth of Bright rewards in a stake Bright farm, just to give a very simple example. And then XDAI would come in and put up an equivalent amount of stake into rewards. And so it basically doubles anything that BrightDAO is willing to put up in a rewards pool. So that's nice. And then it gives liquidity for both projects. So that's kind of like the beginning of this conversation. But then there's talk about some of the things that we talked about. So should we do this? 91% yes. So that's cool. So like we can make this proposal. We could make this today if we wanted to. We could actually make the real proposal for this because we have enough interest in it. How should we proceed with the farms? Try something different. Okay, so I don't think we have time to get into the details of this, of like how this works. But I encourage you to do your research, do your own research on Olympus Pro liquidity mining. It's interesting. But this one's kind of split. It's like, okay, go with something we know or try something a little different, because the Uniswap V3 staking is a little weird. Like some people, like the rewards aren't quite doing what some people would expect. That you can get I can, from my own experience, I can say that you can get really good rewards. Like you can get, like it's saying that you get 216%. You can actually get more if you pick a good range. You can get like twice that or even more. So you can get really good rewards on BrightETH, but it's not the easiest thing to understand. So maybe there's some other things. Although I will say that Olympus Pro is also not that easy to understand, unfortunately. So, but anyways, there's these new types of farms, right? And then like how long should they go? Should we have like long rewards, short rewards, mixed rewards? Mixed. Okay. So a lot of people think mixed. What APR should we target? So currently it's showing like 200% for both of our main pools. And we saw there was 90% for the Bright. So for G Bright, so these, like everyone's saying much lower numbers. So if you look at it, like most people think that G Bright should probably be like, this wasn't even on the, okay. So here's 85%. So that's about, okay. So same. Yeah, 85%. So let's show the results on that. So most people think it should be the same. Okay, so similar. And then balance between LP and GBright. Let's look at the results on that. Keep the same reward distribution. Okay, interesting. Okay, and then this tells more about Olympus Pro. Okay, so Han, do you have like what were the tricky things to understand about this? Oh, maybe he can only type and not speak. Let's see. Okay. Are you still there, Han? Do you want to tell us like what clarification would you like on this proposal? Okay, good. Can you talk or do you want to just type? Okay, I'm going to read this real quick. It says Olympus Pro. Yeah, let us know if you're having trouble speaking or something. It says Olympus Pro is a form of liquidity mining. Okay, the stake and Olympus. Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think those are the two things that you can't just figure out very easily just by looking at this proposal. Like what is the stake deal? But did that maybe clear some things up, what I said about how they offered to just match whatever BrightDAO is willing to put up, as long as it involves the stake token in some way? Did that part make sense? Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so that part got cleared up. The Olympus Pro, I'll just read this. I don't know if I don't know if it'll help.
Adam, if we were going to do something, with the stake, I would definitely want it to start off just something simple, not the weird.
Not
we talked about,
yeah.
They'd actually incentivize this one, but it wasn't the one we used. No.
Yeah.
If you take it, it's just like, great, you get rewards in Bright and Stake. Hooray.
Yeah. Okay, stake is a really Han is saying stake is a really confusing name for a token. Yeah, everybody's been saying that, and they've been trying to rebrand their token, but it's kind of funny. Anyways, yeah, so I agree with you there. I think like they're totally willing to do exotic arrangements with how we get rewards, but I don't think we're ready for that. I mean, we have connections to the token engineering commons, and so we can like outsource some of these decisions if we want to, and bring some of that expertise on. So that is another option. But I think we also want to just take advantage of like doing it right now. And so if we're going to do it right now, we should pick something really simple that even us non-tokenomics experts can understand. And then if we want to do something like more exotic that requires modeling of how it's going to work and stuff like that, we should let the tokens engineering commons crunch on it and tell and make their recommendation. But yeah, Olympus Pro, just like basically just to give you like a one sentence thing, is it's a way to have liquidity that's not just temporary. Right now, all our farms are temporary, and Olympus Pro would be a way to have some liquidity that's more permanent, that you don't have to keep voting on, keep asking for, keep like creating a new rewards pool. It's just there forever. You auction it off or sell it off, and then it's kind of there forever. So yep. Anyways, I encourage you to read up on Olympus Pro. You're not going to find all the answers here in this. So anyways, yeah, so I think like this, we've been sitting on this idea for a while now, like almost like a month. So I think like this is something people have had time to think about. And let's go ahead and at least some of this, I think we can turn into real proposals. Like I think we can definitely say, I think there's pretty wide agreement that we want to keep the GBright Gardens token farming going. We would definitely want to keep that one going. And I think we like farming, so let's create some new farming, some actual proposals. But this is a great example of like testing the waters. Monstrosity created this proposal. He really wanted to know what people thought. He even created some polls and got the feedback, hopefully the feedback that he wanted. And now we can move on to the next step of actually making some proposals. So, good example of how you can use the forum to get your proposal ready to go. Okay, so I've been talking for a really long time. Any questions? Any other topics? Like we don't have to just talk about this topic, but we only have like 1 minute.
Yeah,
So,
like if you guys want to throw a last thought, because yeah, we need to wrap it up. As we move 1 hour forward for us here, like the Spanish speaking meeting, it's in about 5 minutes, and last week it was 1 hour later after the
okay.
times. Yeah, so
we gotta get out of here. So
we gotta
it's
get
a
on
good time to
point at
wrap it up.
least. Yeah,
We
so
apologize to everyone around the world for daylight savings time.
yeah.
Yeah, imagine a bright future without daylight savings.
Yeah, it will be
Dare
the
to dream.
GM time. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's BGM time, right? Good morning time.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. So I'm going to stop recording now. And thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching this if you're watching from YouTube. Okay.